Today, let's talk about neuroplasticity. This is something that I have investigated a lot over the years because I have MS, and when I was diagnosed with it, that was something that started to become a thing to look into. And basically, what it means is that your brain is not just what it is when you're born. It's not like you hit a certain point where you've matured and that's it, your brain is stuck there. You can actually retrain your brain to do all sorts of things, and it's a really exciting field of study. And I would say that scientists are still learning a lot about it. They don't know exactly how it all works. So we often refer to it as like brain wiring. And when you think about brain wiring being all like jumbled up in your system when things aren't working properly, and what you want to do is you want those wires to be smooth and to be going where they need to go. So for instance, with seizures, we have a lot of problems with recall. The electrical activity in the brain sort of cuts off some of those recall accesses to memories. They're still there, but you can't reach them anymore. And it's really challenging and takes a lot of time and hard work to be able to get back to that and to basically build new pathways or new wiring in your brain. And so I have been looking a lot more recently into all the different programs out there that are really exciting. Some of them are doing great work and some better than others, where they are retraining your brain through repetitive processes. And that's really necessary because it's like you're basically trying to wear into a pathway to create it so that the brain wants to go there because it's comfortable. It's been there enough times. That's where it wants to go. And our brains tend to build all these pathways, and some of them are not good. Some of them are taking us to bad places and potentially causing health problems. Not all of them, but I think there are a number of health problems that can be improved or even cured when the brain is rewired. A lot of this has to do with the parasympathetic system versus the sympathetic system. So what we're dealing with is either being stuck in a state of fight or flight or freeze, or alternatively being in the state of rest and digest. And generally you want to be in the rest and digest kind of place. That's when your body and your brain is at its best as far as being able to combat things that are happening and to just heal from what's going on and what has been going on. But sadly, a lot of us, and I've known this for a long time, especially for myself, but a lot of us can get stuck in the fight or flight or freeze state and never really come out of it. And I know for years I've told people I'm stuck in fight or flight, and I didn't know anything about neuroplasticity even back then, but now I know a lot more about it. So I decided to research a number of different programs that are out there right now that are very popular. And the one that I decided to go with, primarily because of cost, and because I did do the introductory free part of it, and I found some really useful things in there, so I decided to go for it. And it's called DNRS, and I think that's one of the earliest ones, and it stands for Dynamic Neuro Retraining System. And it was started by Annie Hopper, who actually lives in BC, where I live. And she does all of the presentations and everything. And she has a very calm kind of voice that just makes you feel very relaxed. And that's kind of what they want to go for. So what I wanted to do is give my honest review of the good and the bad of this program. And also, for those of you who are Christians like myself, we want to be practicing discernment, because the medical system as a whole, and that includes these kinds of programs, has incorporated a lot of New Age, Hindu, Buddhist, and pagan practices as part of what they do to try and help you heal. And I find that really problematic and actually really damaging. It's not good for you. It's popular right now, so that's the thing that they do. I don't know how many doctors and nurses and various healthcare practitioners who have recommended things like yoga to me or meditation, things, and they don't mean the real meditation. They mean Eastern meditation where you clear your mind and you just, say the same thing over and over again or something like that. And that's not real meditation. That's not what the word actually even means. Meditation means to think deeply. And that's not what they want you to do. And that's not how they want you to relax. So we were, as children of God, created in His image. We are created to actually use our minds. And there's good ways and bad ways to do that. We need to take every thought captive. There's a lot of that I am really very, very focused on. So what I want to do is just walk through all of the different ways that as Christians we could go through a program like this. You might want to do one similar to it. There's some out there that are really useful and some that are less so. I know that there are several out there that as far as I can tell, I haven't done the programs because, for one, there's just no way I could afford it. And for two, I don't really want to put myself through all of that again because it's a lot of work and it requires a ton of discernment. It really does. It makes you use your brain, which is good, but it's a lot of work. It's exhausting. So a number of them are using the same system, but they are Christianizing it. And what you see is that they're pulling it into basically health and wealth, prosperity gospel, NAR, which is all new thought, which is kind of a Christianized version of New Age. So not good at all, and yet extremely popular. And the ones that are doing that, it's heartbreaking to me because I think they mean well. But the problem is, even though they mean well, they are basically still practicing New Age practices, and they're using new thought to try and Christianize it. They're trying to pull verses out of scripture, out of context, in order to defend these things. And it's really sad. It's understandable. I can see how they would go there. It seems like they fit so well together. You just have to make it sound like it's more biblical, even though it's not. So I'm not in favor of any of that. And I know not all of the groups out there that are offering these kinds of programs do that. I want to make that clear. I know of at least one where they are very clear they're not into any of that kind of stuff. I don't know what their program is like. It was way too expensive for me to even consider, but I know that they are very clear that they are not into any of the health and wealth stuff or really the charismatic kind of stuff for the most part. So I do appreciate that. I can't really give a recommendation for or against them because I just haven't done their program and I don't know for sure what it's exactly like, but they would seem more hopeful anyway. So I won't get into that. What I do want to do is talk about DNRS because that is the one that I actually paid for and completed. And now I'm in the process of trying to use that every day for the 6-month period and then some, because I think really you have to kind of work this into your mind to do for the long term to some degree. And I want to give some good and some bad. So let's start with the good. So the good is right away, the first thing I learned was that we need to be looking at the state that our limbic system is in. And for me, definitely, especially since the seizure started about a little over 3.5 years ago, every seizure throws me right back fully into fight or flight mode, and my husband as well, which is also very, very problematic for both of us to both be in that state and going through that day after day. So that was really bad. But when I started thinking about the good things that I could do, and instead of just being in that state of dread and fear and frustration and just wanting to give up all the time, I needed to change that. I needed to start having things to look forward to in life. I needed to be able to look back on happy memories and be excited about them and enjoy those endorphins. And for me also, I am kind of I've always said a realist, but you could sort of say glasses half empty kind of person. I mean, I've been through stuff in my life. Who hasn't? We all have, right? And I learned not to get too excited about things that I'm looking forward to. And so even one time when I won this massive prize that was so incredible in this contest, when I was called and told about it, I didn't jump up and down and get all excited because I was like, oh, okay, nice. Hopefully that'll be really great. And that was it. And it was like, oh, that was such a great opportunity to just have a lot of fun with it and be excited and, celebrate. And I didn't. And that was a long time ago. It all ended up working out really nicely. Everything went really well. The prize was fantastic. And I could have had so much more fun with it. But already at that young age was like at a point where I'm afraid to look forward to things, and I don't want to be that anymore. So just thinking about that kind of thing, even before I really started the program, already helped with my dysautonomia hugely. So I'm at a point now where my heart rate is, for the most part, under control. When I wake up in the morning, it's not crazy out of control. I'm thinking differently. My thought pattern is different. I'm in a much more positive place, knowing that there are still negative things coming, because that's life. I'm going to have challenges. I'm going to have difficult things to deal with, but so far it's doing well. And once I started going through the program, each day I would watch a bunch more videos and start practicing things that you need to practice. And I've found that it does help my state of mind. And I think to some degree it has helped my husband's as well, because he's watched me go through all of this and he sees what I need to do. And that includes him being positive with me as well and not being in that fight or flight place that can be really damaging to everybody. So I am hopeful that even before paying for the program, which maybe you don't even need to pay for them, if you really want to do the research on your own, do the free trials and all that kind of stuff, do all the free videos out there. There's lots of them out there. I'm not going to get deep into the DNRS stuff because that's theirs. You have to pay for that, and I'm not going to steal it or anything like that. But what I want to do is kind of give the Christian alternatives to some of the stuff that they do, because let's get into some of the negative stuff. Okay, so first of all, visualization is a big part of that. And the word itself I'm not a big fan of because it does have a very new age connotation to it. And the way that they do visualization on DNRS, I found extremely problematic, and I did not like it all. Basically, I could not relax on that because Annie does the visualizations for you, and she does have a very calming voice, and they felt very hypnotic, like very hypnotic. And the visualizations do start off as being fine. You're basically paying attention to your senses, and you're thinking about a happy thing, whether it's just something you're making up or it's a memory you've had or something you're looking forward to, then essentially that can be okay. Especially, like, for me, it's about truth, right? I don't really want to make something up, but I do like to dream about what great things could happen in the future. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's not like I'm saying it's going to happen. I'm not manifesting that, or I'm just thinking how wonderful that would be and how exciting. And maybe some of that will happen one day, and that would be really cool. But then she also gets deeper into going through all of this stuff and using lots of positive words to describe your feelings, which again is fine. But then she gets into this idea of energy being above you and coming down and running through your body, and you pick a color for it and all that kind of stuff. That stuff is pure New Age. That's not something that we as Christians should be doing or need to do. And I don't think it's helpful for anybody in the end. Being aware of our senses, how things smell and taste and feel and look and hear, we want to do that for sure, because that's a part of working the brain all around, all the way through. And that's why listening to music is really helpful for that, really good music. But getting into this whole energy thing, we don't need it. And I found it something you could easily bypass and do my own thing. So I recommend that too. Find your own thing to do. And in fact, even record yourself saying those things, or even do a video, or, just do a voice recording and listen through it every now and again. And it's really helpful. And that can be part of what they call the rounds that you do. And we'll get into that a little bit as well. So there are ways around it, period. Another thing that I found very problematic is one of the YouTube videos that they share. This is not their own video. It's someone else doing, I think, a TED Talk. And it's this woman who had a stroke, and she shares her story. And at one point it does get very funny. She's funny. But other than that, I would highly recommend don't even bother with it, because for one, she doesn't tell you anything about how she got better after the stroke, what she did, what her process was, or anything like that. All she did was share a whole bunch of very new age pagan ideologies that wove in through her experience and that she wanted to promote. That's it. There's nothing useful there. That's not good for DNRS. That's not good for anybody. That's just her babbling about her weird beliefs that she came up with because of the really difficult trauma that she went through and what it did to her brain. So I would skip it. Those sorts of things are not useful. There are lots of other videos, including the YouTube videos I share, that are actually pretty cool. But that one, no thank you. Another thing that I would call kind of a negative that needs some adjustment for Christians when we're doing this is when you're doing the rounds, there are certain times when you're telling yourself things, like you're telling yourself you love yourself, you're congratulating yourself, you're thanking your limbic system, things like that. And I find that all really, it's not exactly New Age, but it is pretty pagan and ridiculous. And it's not true. Like, there's no point in thanking your body for anything. Your body doesn't have a mind of its own separate from your brain. So instead, what I recommend is to thank Jesus for everything he has done, everything he has given you, for everything he's going to do in your life, everything he's doing through you. These are all really positive things that we want to be thinking about, and they're true, which is the big thing. They are true. And we can be praying for healing at the same time. That's really important. And we can thank him for all of the positive things he's doing and for all of his mercy and grace. All of the stuff I've been through, wow. I have been through the gutter for the past number of years now, and I would have to say that I am much closer to Christ now than I was before that. So he's using that, and he uses our trials to discipline us and to bring us closer to him. So we can absolutely see the positive in that. That's an exciting thing to think about, right? Isn't that amazing? And another thing that I found a bit problematic, but something we can work with, is that when you're doing the rounds, you print out these papers that say different things that you're going to stand on as you do each thing. It's a very sort of functional thing to get your whole body involved in all of this rewiring, and I'm fine with that. But one of the things that you print out is called higher self, and they like to talk about that a lot. And that has to do with the whole thanking yourself and loving yourself and all these sorts of silly things. And I prefer to change it to something else. There's so many different things you could say. Trusting Christ would be one. Better direction. There's just all kinds of different things that you could do that are a lot better than higher self, because that just does not sound quite right to me. And it's not necessary. You can still be positive. You can still have that section of your round and have it be a good thing, but it could be based in truth instead of silliness, because there's no such thing as the higher self. You just are who you are. And that's just one of those problematic things, but it's fixable. So if you have discernment and if you are wanting to do this program and you are a Christian, these are just ways that you could adjust some of those things. Another thing I found kind of problematic is the music. There's these breaks that they want you to take all the way through, which is a good idea. You want to rest and stop getting your brain going all these things, just chill. And they give you 4 songs to listen to, and I found all of that music to be very new age garbage. Like, I don't know, that is maybe more a matter of opinion to some degree, but I just found it very useless, and I couldn't stand the songs. So I found my own. And I'm going to recommend things like, say, if you can find, there's tons of stuff you can find on various different formats and different apps that you could listen to, like, say, how about gentle acoustic guitar or mandolin music, something like that. That would be lovely. Or maybe piano is your thing, or I like, there's a band that I have listened to for years that I actually listen to help me go to sleep at night often, and they're called Sons of Korah. And basically they just sing psalms, and quite a few of their psalms are, well, some of them are really upbeat, and there's a little bit of sort of bluegrass maybe kind of feeling. I don't know if that's quite the right word for it, but some of their stuff is very gentle and calm. And what's really cool is that they're great to calm you down and settle you, and you get to listen to psalms at the same time. No, it's their paraphrasing of the psalm, so it's not exactly, and it's not a whole psalm. Usually it's just a portion of it, but at the same time, it's really nice to have that in your brain and to remind you of these truthful, positive, wonderful things. And so that's a great example. Another thing that isn't specifically Christian would be, I love the song when it came out. It was my favorite. I went to her concert. I had all of her CDs, everything. That's dating me, I know. But the Holly Cole Trio had a song. They had their own remake of I Can See Clearly Now, which I just fell in love with that song when I heard it from her. I knew the song already, but I just loved everything about it. I loved the bass player. He was so fantastic. And so I like to listen to that song and sing it sometimes too, because it is so positive and it's a wonderful song, and it brings back great memories too for me of like when I went to the concert, and it was so great. We had such a fantastic time, and they were just such amazing performers. So that would be a couple of examples, and there are just so many. There's lots of positive music out there that you can listen to that isn't garbage. It isn't fluff. It's just light and positive and enjoyable, and can give you those endorphins, and that's what you're looking for. So, but again, based in truth and based in things that are not pagan or new age. So another thing I really need to touch on as well is gratitude. Gratitude is mentioned a number of times all the way through the training, and gratitude is a good thing. I do agree. But their version of gratitude is fluff. It's like Oprah's version, where it's just to the universe, or just gratitude, putting it out there and that kind of thing. That's not real. To whom are we thankful? To whom are we grateful? God. For everything that he has done and is doing, right? And so yes, be thankful. That is something we're actually called to, and it is a joyous thing to be thankful to God for everything he has done and is doing, and for all that he is. And he is wonderful and beautiful and amazing, and we should spend a lot of time thinking about who he is and what his attributes are. So I have mentioned before, there's some great books out there that are super helpful. A couple of free ones that you can get downloaded or you can listen to online. One would be Absolute Surrender by Andrew Murray, which is a book I'm kind of obsessed with. I've listened to it and watched it and read it and been through portions of it for several times now in the past year alone, because there's just so much solid, amazing, wonderful stuff in there. And another one is The Attributes of God by A.W. Pink or Arthur Pink. And those are both out of copyright, which is why you can get them for free online. and they're fantastic. Just really, how can you not just be led into praising God when you read these things? They're just so, so good. So I highly recommend, if you want to stay on track and positive and learn and grow in Christ and in the scriptures, those are some great books. In addition to daily Bible reading, of course, that's super important. And I actually have managed to discipline myself to do that more than once a day, and I'm loving it. It's so worth it. It's worth the discipline. It does take work initially if you haven't done it before, but once you get into that path, when you don't do it for a day, you sure miss it, because it's so great to know him more through his word. So those are some of the ups and downs. As I said, I'm not against the program. I think there's a lot of really good stuff, and I learned a lot of really great things. There's a lot of scientific stuff that they share that is really, really, really fascinating and encouraging, because it's like, wow, there are things we can do in our brains that can actually help. I don't know how many of my symptoms are going to go away, but at least one of them has really, really settled down, and I'm very happy about that. I really hope my digestion will improve a lot. I really, really hope for that, and I pray for that. I don't know, though, because we're dealing with lifelong problems with my gut. So I'm trying to hit that at all different angles, and one of them is by retraining my brain. And of course, my problem with my body not regulating temperature properly has become a huge problem. Part of that, of course, is because of my age, but also my body just doesn't seem to know how to handle it. So there's definitely weird things going on, and I've been heat intolerant for a long time. I have problems with hearing as well, and that I have what's called hyperacusis, which means that I'm highly, highly sensitive to loud noises, much more so than anybody you've probably ever met. So I wear earplugs when I have to go to church or other places, because I can't even go to the movies because it's too loud in the theater. So again, that's another thing that has been around for me for a long time, and I would love to see it improve. So we're working on that. And also, it is looking more and more like my MS could be Lyme. I'm still trying to get a test done for that. It's proving to be very, very challenging. If the camera is moving, it's because my cat has decided to play right underneath the stand and is going crazy right now, because that's what she does. And yes, it's the same one as in previous videos. And here she is in all her glory, my very old cat, Miss Grace. So I am wondering how much of a lot of these symptoms that I have are part of the limbic system, and even Lyme itself. I'm reading a lot of testimonials of people that actually were diagnosed with Lyme and using DNRS or one of these types of programs have actually basically recovered. My cat's still going nuts, sorry. They have basically recovered from Lyme, and I think that's because when you're in that proper system, your body can start fighting off those infections that have gotten really, really deep into your body and your brain. So there's hope there too, that maybe if it is Lyme, that it can be improved. I really hope that that is the case, because I'm ready to get going and start living life again, and moving forward and working and just doing all the things that people are called to do and are made to do. So that is my review. I hope it's helpful. Please ask questions below. I'll do another video if I need to, or just answer you in the comments, whatever you like. Thank you for watching. I hope this helps you, and God bless.